Hey everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing the Cheerson CX-23, the Cheer Intelligent Photography, it says here on the top. This is a cool little mini GPS drone with 5.8 gigahertz analog, which is good for no latency, Analog FPV. Brushless motors, just a fun little quadcopter. I really like this a lot. It's an absolute blast to fly with a nice long run time, records to micro SD slot. So let's kind of go over everything here real quick. First of all, I want to show you the box it comes in, just because the box is so sturdy, and it's got all the details here on the back of the box, the different modes, just a lot of information on the box. But I do want to show you the insides of the box just because it's so nicely packaged. It comes with a foam insert here where the quadcopter sits before you attach the landing gear. It has this little insert divider. Then you get your nice box for your transmitter, battery, FPV screen. There's a landing gear box here. And this one has some other accessories, and there's also a tool box here, which I'll show you here in a minute with some of the tools that come with it also. So I'm going to put this back in there, set this off to the side. So packaged really nicely, which it's Cheerson. They're one of the better toy grade, I guess you would still call them, manufacturers, and I'm partial to them because my first GPS drone was my CX-20, which I still own. So I really like the Cheerson, and I like this quadcopter quite a bit. Now, some of the channels out there, a few at least I've seen, including a really large one, wants to call this is this a DJI Spark killer? Well, that's just absurd. This is not meant to compete with the DJI Spark, despite its small size. So don't fall for that gimmick, because this doesn't have this has just a fixed camera with a swivel, 720p. The DJI Spark is a higher quality camera. I believe it's 1080. It may go higher. I don't know. I don't own a Spark. 2-axis gimbal the Spark has, and it responds to hand gestures. This is less than half the cost of a Spark, I believe. So this is meant to do its own things in its own right and does it pretty well, but this is not a DJI Spark killer, so don't fall for those gimmicks. You can see here its propellers. It's got two upright propellers and brushless motors on the front, but the rear arms, which are elevated here in the back, the motors are turned upside down and the propellers are inverted, so you don't have to worry about the airflow over the arms, and that helps with stability. So that's why I believe they've done that. The reason they have not done it in the front is because if they inverted it in the front, you'd likely get propellers within the field of view of the camera. So that's why they've stuck with the upright props in the front. But it doesn't seem to, with two inverted and two upright, it seems to fly just fine, and it's a fun little flyer, and it's actually quite sporty. So I like it quite a bit. Like I said, there's a micro SD slot here. It does not come with a micro SD card, but everybody's got those lying around now. That's not really a big deal in my opinion. But it records 720p video, so it's not a super high resolution camera, but the video is actually quite good. There's a little vibration and wobble in it, but it's not bad. You might eliminate some of that by balancing these propellers. But like I said, you can control that from the controller and record locally, and then play that back. You can see the antenna here. This is probably the 5.8 gigahertz antenna there sticking out by the landing gear, I believe. But it could be the it could be the RX antenna too. I don't know for sure, but it probably is the analog video TX antenna. So let's look over some of the other stuff here. It's got it comes with a proprietary, if I can spit it out, battery. It looks sort of like a smart battery. If you press it in, you see I got it fully charged. 4 lights light up, and it goes down as the battery power decreases. It also goes up as it charges, but you have to press the button on the charger to see how many lights, and once all 4 lit up, then it's fully charged. It's a 7.4 volts, so it's a 2S. 1200 milliamps, so not a huge battery, but because it's so small, it still gets a good flight time of around 10 to 11 minutes is what I've been averaging on my test flights with this. So it gets the job done, and since it's not a smart battery, it doesn't have the ability to discharge itself as it sits like a smart battery would do on the big drones like my Autel or my Xiaomi Mi drone, those discharge themselves. This battery should not be too expensive. So, you know, I don't think it's a huge deal that it's proprietary, because I don't think it'll be a real expensive battery to buy an extra. The charger that it uses is a, you know, this cradle like that the battery snaps into here. Charges like that, and of course here's your wall adapter. You don't have to worry about any silly USB stuff. So you charge it up like that. The instruction manual says it takes about 2 hours to charge, but I think it's closer to 3. It is a rather slow charge, so it's charging at a rather low amp. But you know, that's safety features for the battery, so it doesn't charge it at too quick of a rate. But like I said, you get a nice flight time of I have about 10.5 minutes usually is what I was getting. When it does hit the low voltage, the controller will start to beep and vibrate. It actually has that feedback, you can feel it. So I've kept it close to me when that happened, and that's whenever you know that you need to bring it in close and land it. So, you know, I did fly it close until it finally auto landed itself, you know, when the voltage got too low, and that was, you know, close to 11 minutes. I do not know if it will return to home on low battery. It should. It could have been, you know, I of course wanted to keep it in close, so it landed because it was probably 10 feet away from me. It should fly back, but I've not been able to test that. I don't really feel comfortable flying this thing out, you know, and then have it just auto land on top of something. So the instruction manual, I couldn't see anywhere where it tells you if it does a return to land. So I need to have this out over an open field to test this, where I can take it out beyond, you know, 15-20 meters where it might just auto land, and see what it does, you know, if it flies back and tries to land when it gets to a certain voltage. I just can't answer that question for you, but you would think that it would have that that feature built into it. It also, you know, has other rechargeable. You don't have to use any AA or AAA batteries with this entire quadcopter. It comes with this micro USB cable, and this plugs into the bottom, and this lets you you have to use a USB, and this charges up the I don't know if I can get it plugged in, but this charges up your controller, and it does have voltage on the screen, which I'll show you in a minute, to monitor the voltage of the controller. And then it comes with this other small little, you know, plug on a USB, and this plugs in, of course, to charge your FPV screen. So you get that feature on it. So everything's rechargeable, which I like. So you don't have to worry about filling out AA batteries or replacing them. So that's all nice. The tools it comes with here, it comes with a lot of different tools. Of course, it comes with a micro USB card reader. Like I said, it doesn't come with a card though, which is kind of odd. I've checked in here. There's no card inside of mine. Comes with 2 spare props, which I think that's fine. You know, this thing lands, I've never had it tip over. It's small, and the landing gear is wide enough. You're not likely to bust landing gear in this unless you fly it into something, which you shouldn't do with it being GPS, unless you're being completely irresponsible. And then it comes with, you know, several different tools here. It comes with a wrench here. It comes with 2 different attachments for this screwdriver here, standard and Phillips, and the 2 different size hex wrench or Allen wrench, whatever you want to call it, attachments on here for working on it. And it comes with another really small cheapo Phillips screwdriver. So that's all the different stuff that comes in the package. But you know, quite a bit of different stuff, which I do like. So let's go ahead and go over the controller. The controller is really nice. It's really comfortable in my hands. It's got a nice grip to it. Of course, it's got altitude hold, as you'd expect on a GPS quadcopter. You've got your return to home button here, your auto takeoff, your auto landing, your different modes, and your camera and your video for recording to the SD card and taking pictures. There's 3 modes on the quadcopter. There is altitude hold, which it always takes off an altitude hold, unless I think you can switch it to GPS mode before you do. But I should say, when you power on the quadcopter and the controller, it will always default to A, which is altitude hold. You press it again, and that's B, and that's going to be your GPS mode, which I like to fly in. And then if you hold down the mode button, it will go to C, and that is your circle me mode. And it will fly out from you. It will fly out, it'll turn around, and then it'll begin to circle you. Now, it seems like it marks the location that you're at the moment you press that. It does not seem to adjust to where you're at, because it must have a GPS chip inside of the controller to know where to circle you. It does that quite well, but if you start to move around, it does not change that, that circle me with you. It just continues to circle the original spot. I've tested this numerous times. So if I adjust it some, you can adjust with the your pitch roll stick, bringing it in some, which is kind of slow to make the diameter smaller, and it continues to circle that original spot, and it can mess it up a bit to where it was kind of like going out from me really far on one side and coming almost 5 feet away from me on the other side. So that was just because I was trying to reduce the size of the circle so that I didn't run into my house where I was testing wasn't the largest area. But when I did move, it did not adjust with me, so it must just mark the original location, which seems odd, but I've tested it numerous times and it never does move with me. But the circle me works pretty well, though sometimes it seems like it doesn't like move itself as it, especially if you hit the input sticks. I've been trying to adjust it, like there's times where it's like looking away from me at times as it goes off to the side, and rather than keeping itself centered around you. So it doesn't work perfect, but it works okay. But the GPS and altitude hold modes work really, really well. So let's go ahead and let's turn on the controller. It's just a regular old LCD screen. It's fairly easy to see outside. It says there's 4.1 volts on the controller. It shows an X through here that it's not connected to the quadcopter. It's got speed stuff on here. It's got your height and return to home distance, all that stuff. Your A is for your altitude hold. B is your GPS mode, and then holding it down here, it beeps. C, and that is your circling mode. You can press, I think it is the, let's see, is it the, yeah, it's the auto takeoff button again, quickly. You press that, it gives you your pitch and roll degrees and your yaw. Gives you your GPS, latitude, longitude, which of course I think is because it's using the built-in GPS chip. And you press it again, and it's got firmware version, serial number, and your channel number. I forget how many channels this has. I think it tells you in this instruction manual here. To turn on the FPV screen, you just flip this power switch here. Of course, it's not going to have anything right now. And to change the channel, you just press this button until you get your FPV feed in on a clear channel on the screen. So real easy to use with that. Now it has no external antennas on the FPV screen, so the FPV range is not very good on this. I don't know exactly what it is, maybe 100 meters or so. But if you have some just some cheapo 5.8 gigahertz goggles, you can slap those on the antennas. I've got some Furby goggles that have a flat panel and a mushroom. You're going to get better range if you can fly with goggles because of those antennas being able to pick up the signal from the quadcopter. I don't know how powerful the Video TX is, and it's probably something like 25 milliwatt, but you should be able to get a lot better distance wearing a pair of goggles. But I used to use this for most of the time. I've flown with my goggles also, but just for up close flying around and getting some video, this works perfectly fine. So. To calibrate the compass on this, you're going to, you have to repeatedly press the mode button here. Press a whole bunch. And that kind of threw me off because I was misreading it and I was holding it down, and that of course would just put it into circling mode. It'll finally come with compass calibration, and then at that point you're just going to turn the quadcopter, I think 3 times like this, and then the screen will tell you to turn it vertical with the nose down, and in maybe about 2 turns, it says do it 3 to 5, it will the screen will go back to the regular screen, and the compass calibration is complete. To do the gyro calibration on this, if you need to do a gyro calibration, is you hold the throttle stick all the way down, and you take the pitch roll stick and you go back and forth really quick, and then you'll see these lights on the back begin to blink blue and back and forth, and once they go back to solid, then you know that it calibrated the gyros. On the main screen, you also have your number of GPS satellites, but I didn't mention. I think when it gets at least 7 or so, the lights will go solid here, and you know you got a GPS lock and you can take off in GPS mode. You probably can take, I don't remember, you can probably take off in altitude hold mode, but just be mindful if you don't have no satellites, you're not going to be able to, when you go to GPS, it's not going to want to hold its position. So I usually get a decent amount of satellites. Now the on-screen display does also display over this, and since I'm not powered up, you're not going to be able to see it, but it has a whole bunch of information on the quadcopter. I'd rather not power it up here inside with the brushless motors and everything, but it has all kinds of OSD information on the screen, number of satellites. All the stuff that's on your LCD screen is also here, easy to see, since you're going to be looking at this more than you're going to be looking down at your controller. But the controller does have even more information than the OSD because of those multiple menus. So you'll see that when we go to the test flight, the OSD screen on it. So I think we've covered everything on this little quadcopter. It is a neat little quadcopter, so be sure to check out the product description where I got a link to it at GearBest. There should be a coupon code there for at least the 18% off one, but I haven't tested the price just to see what the final price would be. But overall, I like this, and I would recommend this quadcopter. It is quite fun, as long as you're not expecting real high-end quality video and you're okay with just a fixed camera that you can of course swivel, so you can take it up and get a look down from above you, or you can do a takeoff and do the fly up and away from you, which I always thought was a cool shot. So you have those options, just isn't stabilized. So I think that's everything. So let's go ahead and we'll move along now to the flight review. Okay, I have the CX-23 Cheer drone out here on my launch pad, and we're going to take it up here and fly it over the field here and do some FPV flight, and record some video, and we'll include that side by side in the footage. It is a bit windy today, so we'll see how it does, but it's not too bad. The brushless motor shouldn't have any problem handling that. So first thing I'm going to do here, I've already calibrated the compass, and I told you in a table view how to do that, so we're not going to go over that again. The view is going to be long enough the way it is. So go ahead and start recording footage here, and it should be recording. And I believe that I've got the camera aimed straight out, you can see here in the FPV feed. So we'll go ahead and do an auto takeoff. It kind of tipped forward there a little bit, and I think that was partially because of I don't have it on the most level surface. Now I'm in altitude hold mode right now. It flies pretty nice, but it will drift in this breeze. So I'm going to press the mode button there and switch to B, and as you can see, bam, kind of like stopped the stuff right there. Kind of bring it overhead here, and we'll see how it holds position. It holds pretty good. A little bit of wobble, but that's due to the breeze. We've got 10 GPS satellites, 7.5 volts on the 2S LiPo. So let's go ahead and we'll take it out here in GPS mode. I can see here on my FPV screen, there's no obstacles here, so it's holding pretty good. There's some interference. Like I said, I didn't bring my FPV goggles with me. Since I'm filming, I can't wear those and fly. But I would have liked to, that'd be something to maybe show in the future. Because I'm certain I can get better range on the FPV goggles because those antennas. There's no antennas on this FPV screen, unfortunately, so that limits your FPV distance considerably. Let's go ahead and I want to bring it in close. I want to show you circle me mode and then we'll try a return to land while we still have enough battery. So let's do a long press here on the mode key, and it goes to C. Now it's going to fly out, and it's going to turn around and face me, and it's going to start going around. Now I want to make sure it doesn't hit this house. So I'm going to try to bring it in a little bit closer. So that's going to mess up the radius some, but I don't want to risk it running into the into an object. So you can adjust the size of the radius of the Circle Me mode. But like I said, if I move in my test, see, I'm moving now, and I've not been able to see that it's changed. It seems to continue on. See how it's still circling the original location. See, it should have, if it were following me, it would have continued on around me. And I don't think that it does. I've never had it do it in the past. Let's have it go. I'll have it go one more time here since I changed my location. Let's see if it continues on the same area. And see, it is just going to circle the exact same spot. So it marks that location in the GPS, and it continues in that. So you just need to stay in the same spot when you do that. All right, I'm going to switch into altitude hold mode. I'm going to switch back into GPS. So Circle Me mode works pretty good. Obviously I affected its radius by changing it a little bit because I didn't want it to run into the side of this house over here. I don't think it would have, but just want to be safe. Let's go ahead and I'm going to take it back out this way a little ways. And I'm going to press the return to home. You see it raises up so it gets a safe distance, height. Trying to see what the height here says that it is. It's showing the descent rate. Let's see if I press one of the other the button here, the yaw, pitch, roll. Looks like it was about 10 meters now. You can only adjust the pitch and the roll, so I'm going to bring it back some. You cannot adjust the yaw. So I'm adjusting this some myself. You can see it's not going to land perfect. But it landed nicely there. It should, it's having some trouble, there we go, detecting this on the ground. Now it would have landed over there on the dead grass or something if I hadn't adjusted it, and I was doing that some, obviously, so it wouldn't land there. But the wind's going to have some effect today on it. But you know, it's usually fairly accurate, but I wish it had yaw control so you could turn it around as it was landing. So let's go ahead and we'll stop recording video. That should be stopped. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and take it up here and fly it a little bit more. And I'm in GPS still. We've still got 12 GPS satellites. Let's see if I can get a little better there. A little better channel on the FPV feed. It was getting quite a bit of static, so I probably didn't have it on the clearest channel. That's much better now. Of course, that's not going to have any effect on the recorded video since it's recording to that SD card. There, that's a really nice clear FPV signal now. I had changed it around the other day when I was just messing with it to see which ones would look good, and that looked good up close, but as I started to fly out, it was rather staticky. This is, hopefully this shows up, this is really nice clear FPV feed now. Looks like I'm about 5 meters off the ground, it says. So let's take it up here. Now I got a little bit of a feedback there and a vibration. I was doing, I wouldn't really call it a throttle punch, but the extra acceleration up caused the voltage on the battery to drop. And and that is what caused the little temporary low voltage beep and vibration. And it will do that, especially as the battery is getting down to about half or so. It does it if you punch it. So it flies really nice. I think I've got a full memory card. That's what this little warning here is. So we just stuck a 4 gigabyte in it. So I don't know how much footage that I captured before the memory card filled up. We'll have to see. That's why it wasn't recording whenever I pressed it. Overall, nice little flyer. All right, that's the low voltage there. Now it will fly for several more minutes, and then it will auto land. Like I said, I don't know if it'll return to land, but it is beeping now. I can feel it. It's vibrating. There's a beep telling me that it's low voltage. So let's do an auto landing here. Oh, perfect. All right, well, this is a cool little drone. I do like this quite a bit. It's a nice little flyer. And the FPV feed actually is pretty good, but I would recommend goggles or something with antennas on it to get better distance on the FPV feed. So that wraps it up. So be sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Stay tuned for more videos and have a good day.
The power of the dark side.